blessings abound in this moment, silent and open, listening. Spirit, I feel a blessed unfoldment, breathing new life in me. In this moment, truth and clarity find their way to me. In this moment, I'm where I should be, safe in the arms of love. Blessings abound in this moment, silent and open, listening. Spirit, I feel a blessed unfoldment, breathing new life in me. In this moment, truth and clarity find their way to me. In this moment, I'm where I should be, safe in the arms of love. I'll trust myself, I'll seize this day. I know my heart will lead the way. I'll trust myself, I'll seize this day. I know my heart will lead the way. I'll trust myself, I'll seize this day. I know my heart will lead the way. In this moment, truth and clarity find their way to me. In this moment, I'm where I should be, safe in the arms of love. In this moment, in this moment, in this moment.
Let's pray together. In this very moment, in this very place, in this very time, we come together as one community, one child under God. We are all one child under God. We are all that one. Knowing this as we look at others, feeling it, believing it, trusting in it. That's ours to do. So at this point in time, we are so grateful to be in this loving community, to feel that warmth, and to feel that love and joy that we have here. We are very blessed, and we know this. We also are very, very grateful for this place to gather together, for our ushers, for our sound team, for our music, for our practitioners, for our hospitality, for all those people who help set up and get everything ready every Sunday to make this service so special. We're in such deep gratitude for each and every one. We know as a community we share in everything that needs to be done. We take care of each other. We have each other's back. We make sure everything is done as it needs to be each and every Sunday. We are there for each other during the week as well, because we are a loving, joyful community. So in this knowing, and knowing the beauty of the day today, the beauty of nature, we are just in such deep, deep gratitude for all of this and so, so much more. So I ask you to join me together by saying, "And so it is." Okay, we have a few words of inspiration today. And the first one is from Dennis Merritt Jones, my last name. Herein lies the paradox. If you want more of whatever it is you desire, you have to first prove to the universe that you are capable of having it by developing a consciousness that affirms there is no shortage of it. The only way to do this is by creating a vacuum or space for it to be received. And the only way you can create a space for it to be received is by letting go of what you do have, trusting that the universe knows what it is doing. That's the law of circulation in action. And from Deepak Chopra, one of my favorites, the flow of life is nothing other than the harmonious interaction of the forces of life, because your body, your mind, and the universe are in constant and dynamic exchange. Stopping the circulation of energy is like stopping the flow of blood. Whenever blood stops flowing, it begins to clot. It coagulates or stagnates. That is why you must give and receive in order to keep wealth and affluence circulating in your life. And from our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, think of spirit and our body as being one in perfect harmony. Affirm perfect circulation, perfect assimilation, perfect elimination. We should declare that in pure spirit there is not stagnation or inaction.
We have been talking about money, finances, for the entire month of October. And our talk title today is Share It, Ferret, Do Take a Slice of My Pie. And I found out that this was inspired by a Pink Floyd song. Anybody in the room know who Pink Floyd was? Oh, familiar? Okay, we got some. All right, so anyway. I looked up some of the words to the song, and those aren't the words. And anyway, but it was inspired, so again. But what I found in the words of the song was almost like contradictory mindset of money. I want the money, I'm going to spend the money on this, I'm going to buy this, don't touch my money, it's my money. A lot of possessiveness was kind of going on. And so I listened to a few other songs this week about money, not in our arena, not in our genre of music out there, popular music. Is it any wonder we are confused about how we should be relating to money? We have so many wonky ideas going on out there, and you're finding yourself singing along to the song, and you don't even know that you're affirming a whole bunch of stuff in your life by singing along with the song. Anyway, the idea we're going to look at today is that we share our finances. And if you need a slice of pie, take a slice of mine. If there's something that you need and I have it here, let me give it to you freely. And that's where we're going to kind of come from with this context today. And I have two key points that I want to make with this message today. And the first one is that we get to do this without regret. So I have a quote here from Dr. Steve Maraboli, that says, "At the end of the day, let there be no excuses, no explanations, and no regrets." Oh my goodness. Do you know what it feels like to live without regret? Do you know what it feels like to make a decision and just be okay with it? And then to see that sometimes maybe something blew up, somebody got confused, something got misunderstood, and still to know that it's okay, that I don't have to regret what I did or what I said. We have this, we get into this a lot when we use our money, when we're holding money, and when we spend money. And I hate to share my past, but I'm going to, because I don't hate it that much. I was married to this guy once, this gentleman. And I can't speak for what he was thinking or what he thought about, but during the years that we were married, he would go out and buy something significant. A car, a stereo, really, really good camera equipment. And how this would come about is we'd have to go shopping, and we'd have to go to talk to all of these places about their product. We'd look at all these cameras, and then he'd have to go home and think about it. And I'm not that person, so I was going a little crazy. And then when he finally got to the point where he decided what he wanted, and he purchased the camera, he immediately went into what we call buyer's remorse. Oh, I shouldn't have spent that kind of money. Oh my gosh, And what was happening in that process, now this didn't happen with the automobiles because it's hard to take those back, but a lot of the things he bought, then he returned them. And if too much time had gone by and he couldn't return it, then he'd put it for sale on some little thrifty nickel ad paper, whatever that we had in the community. And so then we lost money. But I would watch this process and I kept thinking, oh my gosh, and I could not relate. And one of the reasons I could not relate is, number one, I don't get buyer's remorse. Call me crazy, I don't. If I spend the money, I've spent the money. If I get what I get, I've got what I've got. And I'm not, they'll tell me at the store sometimes if I'm shopping for something, they'll say, you only have 30 days to return this. And I go, I'm not the return person. I will find a use for it or I will gift it away, but I won't be bringing it back to the store. That's just who I am. So looking at that, think about that for a second. Do you kind of have that happen for you? Does that happen in your world where it's kind of like you're going to put the money here, you're going to do this with the money, and you're kind of like, ooh, I don't know for sure? And one of the places we want to look at this that can really support us in our mindset about it is in our financial affairs of how we manage our homes. The mortgage payment, the utility payment, the cable payment, the phone bill, whatever these things are that we pay for, are we taking the time to really feel gratitude for what we're getting? I love the fact that I can pick up this little thing, it's not much bigger than this, and push a button and the TV comes on and I can enter a whole new world if I want to. Or I can tune it to some of my music channels and I can listen to all the music I want to. Do we really think about that? Do we consider that when you flip a light switch, the lights come on? I mean, those are the things that we want to look at, and we want to think about that. A regret is a feeling of sadness around something that seems sad or is wrong or feels like a mistake, and a wish that it could have been different. Okay, now pay attention to that for a second. It is feeling sadness about something you just did. Did you get that from what I just shared with you? Now, if it's something you just did, where does it live right now? It lives in the past. So if we live with regrets, if we're taking that time and that energy to do the woe is me or whatever it is we're doing, or to feel negative or upset about it, or oh my gosh, I shouldn't have done that, we have projected ourselves into the past. And it's not a place where you have any control. It's not a place where you have any power. So the thing that we want to look at here is, let's don't do that. Let's go to that place of, well, I spent all the money, and now I've got this. Let's figure out what I'm going to do with it. Yay. That's where we want to go with that. So we don't want to get stuck in the past. We want to stay in the present. So this quote is so good for us because we are going to live without regret. And that means we're going to stay in the present moment. I could not let this day go by without making mention of this amazing, incredible man, Leslie Jordan, who left planet Earth last Monday morning. This man taught me and many of us about living without regret. To live in that space of just being boldly, blatantly me and showing up. He was an actor, a dancer, a comedian. He sang, he wrote songs. He was just a pistol 90% of the time. And Leslie, at the beautiful stature of 4'11", was a giant among us. A giant. And I went back and I watched video clips and Instagram posts and just tons of stuff to kind of get a sense of him more so than I already had to be able to speak about him today. And it was just incredible, the things he did. It was phenomenal, the things he said, and it was crazy hysterical to watch him. He had a huge impact on the LGBTQ community. This man was brought up in a Southern Baptist church, and he was referred to as someone who lived openly gay. I'm not quite sure what that means, but he was openly gay. There was no doubt in anybody's mind where his mindset was on him, his lifestyle, who he was, and what he wanted to attract into his life. He never apologized. Never apologized. There was such a beauty in that. And one of the things that really opened up the entire planet and brought recognition to this amazing person was during the pandemic. Literally 2 weeks into the pandemic, he got on Instagram. And he started posting, oh my gosh, how long are we going to be doing this? What's going on? How are you doing? What's happening? And just day after day after day. And his following built into the millions. He touched the lives and the hearts of millions of us with these just cute little comments and antics every single day. How incredible to look at someone so adorable and look at the wealth and the beauty that he brought to our planet. And he said in one of his Instagram comments that he does not want to be remembered in any way other than to be considered a good man, a good person. He wants to be remembered as good. And I absolutely would say, yeah, there's not a single thing I can think of that I could have ever come up with that seemed negative about him. So as we look at this idea of living without regret, remember Leslie. Oh my gosh. And anyone else who has promoted that kind of thinking and that kind of mindset for you, to live free from regret, to just accept and embrace who you are, to stand boldly in your presence of who you are, and just be. Just be. Oh my gosh, if we could all adopt that, if we could all do that, this planet would change overnight. Absolutely. How beautiful. He did say, there's multiple comments he's made about the fact that he was baptized 13 times. I won't go into all of the reasons why, but in one of his recent posts, he was singing When the Roll is Called Up Yonder, which was the last post he made before his passing last week. I don't know. I watched that video, and I'm thinking, I think that man had a clue what was about to happen. But he said that he had been baptized 13 times, so he absolutely knew when the roll is called up yonder, he's going to be there. He wanted to make sure he had that covered, so that was one of his reasons for that. So let's just breathe that in and embrace that and just know that there are so many places where we can find that inspiration for us about living a life without regret. Eric Butterworth gives us this quote: "The receiving is always a greater flow from within. The receiving is in the same stream as the giving. This is so beautiful because we talk here about two different forms of release. One form of release is spending, and one form of release is donating. So donating is giving, tithing, that type of stuff. Spending is paying for the utilities, paying for a winter coat, paying for a car, whatever. So when we look at all of these things, we want to be grateful, as I mentioned before, of what we are receiving in exchange. And when we're tithing or giving or donating to someone, and I've mentioned this before, when you hand a few dollars out the window to the guy on the street corner or the woman on the street corner or whatever, this practice is just to support others and to have that. I don't know about you, but I have a good feeling when I do that. There's something about the fact that I'm giving and I can give freely, and it can be such a great expression that I can support someone else. Now, I'm going to talk about tithe for a second because I know y'all hate to talk about tithing, but I'm going to talk about this. We ask that you tithe to our community. We are a nonprofit organization, and the tithe money that comes in here supports this community, helps us operate, helps us do all the things we need to do, and that tithe money, we take 10% of that and we gift it back out to organizations in the community that can use our support. That's what the tithe money is all about. But let me tell you this just to be really clear. God isn't happy or sad if you tithe or don't. Whatever you've been taught in the past, whatever backgrounds you may have from whatever other teachings, you do not displease God when you do not tithe to the spiritual community. We invite you to tithe as a way of saying thank you and expressing gratitude and giving back. That's what we speak that. And we also say that when you give, it comes back to you. That's the natural flow of the universe. It comes back to you. And if you don't believe that, then test it. That's the best way you can find out. Test it and see how that works. But the universe isn't going to punish you if you choose not to do that. And I just felt that that was a really good place to plug that in there, because giving is something that is personal between each one of you and each one of you. It's your personal business, your relationship with Spirit, what that connection is. That's what that's about. In this community, I, as the minister, do not go back and check to see who's tithing and how much. That's not my job. We do not do a pledge campaign in this community for the specific reason that it felt like we were trying to manage other people and their giving, and I don't believe that's appropriate. And a few years ago, the Leadership Council and I met, and we talked about it, and we said, we're not going to do a pledge campaign. A pledge campaign is where we ask you to pledge how much money you're going to give us in the next year. And then in some communities, what happens is periodically you get a little letter that says, well, you've given this much, but you said you were going to give this much, and hey, you kind of and that word was never used, don't misunderstand, but that was my translation. You owe us this much money. And that's not the spiritual practice. That's not it at all. And so what we ask is for that ability to give freely and to know that you're supporting the community and you're supporting other organizations and you're doing something and it's good work, and leave it at that. And then to see how that comes back and how that supports you going forward. Giving is a spiritual practice, and it supports you, it feeds you, and it fuels your life if you participate in the practice. So it's just like the practice of prayer. If you don't take the time to pray, you're not going to reap the benefits from that practice. Giving is the same thing, but it is a personal choice, and it is a personal decision. Mother Teresa gives us this beautiful quote that says, it's not how much we give, but how much love we put into giving. So I found this Zen story that I thought was really great. It is about Tsetsu, who was a master teacher, and a gentleman by the name of Umezu, who was a merchant. And the master was a teacher in Kamakura. And at the time of this story, he was seeking larger quarters. He was too confined in the space that he had to do the teaching that he needed to do, and there were too many people and he couldn't fit them all in. So they kind of put the word out that he needed a larger location to be able to instruct. And the merchant came along and he gave the master 500 pieces of gold, which were called ryo. Now, a little bit of research, that wasn't really that much money, but at the time, 500 pieces, that was a chunk of change. And so he gifted this to Setsitsu, and the master said to him, "All right, I'll take it." And he got bent a little bit, the merchant did, because he's thinking, well, I just gave him a sack of gold. And he has this attitude like, it's meaningless. And so he says to the master, in that sack are 500 ryo. And the master says, you told me that before. And he said, even if I am a wealthy merchant, 500 ryo is a lot of money. And the master said, do you want me to thank you for it? And he said, well, you ought to. And the master said, why should I? The giver should be thankful. This hooked me so hard this week because I thought, okay, how often have I gifted something and expected applause, standing ovation, whatever. And what came to me clearly was probably one of the most significant times, quite a few years back, a woman was sitting outside a 7-Eleven, and I was getting in the car, and I'm looking at her, and I'm thinking, oh, I need to give her some money. And I opened my wallet, and I had a 20. And I got out of the car, and I walked over, and she said, oh, thank you, crumbled it in her hand and put it in her pocket. And I'm thinking, is she going to look at that? And I get in the car, and immediately I'm at battle with myself because there's a part of me going, clearly you're not upset because she did not fall all over you because you gave her, to me it was significant. And so looking at that, I want to open that to all of us because it's not just about me, it's about all of us. How often do we give and we have an expectation? We have an expectation that I'm going to get acknowledgement about what I just did. And then we have layers of how much acknowledgement we want to receive. And heaven help you if you don't follow in alignment with that because you're going to miss the mark, just like in this beautiful Zen story. So the second point today, after living free from regret, is be generous. And if we expect nothing in return, then everything that comes back to us is a rich reward, isn't it? It's beautiful. When it shows back up in our life, it becomes something more that we can acknowledge. So I see this as a beautiful opening for us to become more enlightened, to look at that place and go, yeah, I can do this. Because I was told years ago that one of the reasons you like to give so much is because you get something back. People love you, they like you, they think you're amazing, And I looked at that for quite a few years, and then I had the situation with the lady at the 7-Eleven, and then I shifted that thinking considerably. But then in hearing this story, I was like, oh my gosh, here it is again. I get to look at this again. Am I giving freely from my heart, expecting nothing in return, and yet knowing that the way of the universe, the way it works, it comes back. It comes back. So be generous. John Wesley said, do all the good you can, by all the means you can, in all the ways you can, in all the places you can, at all the times you can, to all the people you can, as long as you ever can. How beautiful is that? Do good. Do good. Give. Not only give, but also receive with joy. Live in that place of kindness. Live in that beauty of love. And know that whatever it is you have accumulated, when you leave planet Earth, it's not going with you. So choosing what you're going to do, what you're going to put in place for all your stuff, is a really, really good idea to benefit from that. Now, my parents taught us that when you just spend all the money and then you don't have to worry about what's going to happen after you're gone because you spend it all. Which, I did that for quite a few years. You've heard some of those stories. But you can make plans for your good to continue between your family, your friends, your spiritual community, some organization, whatever it is you choose, you can do that. But what we want to make sure that we remember, which does not go in alignment with the words to the Pink Floyd song, is that it's not mine. It's not mine. It's God's. It always has been, and it always will be. And in that space, in that place, it's so much easier for us to look at that idea of giving and letting it go. Our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, tells us that God is spirit. Spirit is substance, and substance is supply. This is the keynote to a realization of the more abundant life, to the demonstration of success in financial matters. It is right we should be successful, for otherwise, spirit is not expressed. You are an expression of the divine. Each and every one of us is an expression of the divine. If we halt who we are, if we temper our authenticity, if we hold back our voice, if we refuse to express, to give, to celebrate, we are blocking the flow of the divine. Kind of puts it in a little bit different perspective, doesn't it? Yes, let's pay attention to this. Let's pay attention to whatever it is we're doing, whether you're putting it into a hobby, a relationship, your bank account, whatever that is. Let's take that moment and remember that through us, Spirit is expressed. So we look at that idea of living free from regret, and we look at that idea of being generous. Oh my goodness, two beautiful, wonderful, key ideas to live by. And I will close with this quote from Albert Camus. Real generosity towards the future lies in giving all to the present. I only have to deal with what's going on today, Sunday. I only need to know that I have enough money to make it through to the end of the day today. I only know that whatever is going on with me, whatever amount of energy I need, whatever is transpiring in my life, I only need to focus on the now. And maybe not even so much the day, but this moment. That's what is here for me. That's what is here for each of us. And we get to hold ourselves in that place of being accountable to the now and avoid projecting into the future. Because it's coming, but I don't have to do anything about it right now. It's not mine to do. So as we maintain this present idea, living in the moment, there is no space here for regret. Absolutely not. There's also no space for guilt, remorse. The list is long. I won't go into it. But staying in the present moment, it's kind of like, what do I need right now? What is going on with me right here, right now? So take that space, breathe into the present, and then be generous in how you give. Whomever you give to, whatever you give to, be generous. If you still write checks, and I know some of us do it joyfully. Where whoever you're sending the check to, wherever that's going, whatever it's paying for, whatever it's accomplishing for you, thank Thank the universal wisdom that has given you this ability to fill out this check. I remember the first time in my life I was able to pay all the bills in the same month that they were due. It's been a while, but I remember it as if it was yesterday. It was that moment of, oh my gosh, it's the 15th of the month and I've paid for everything. And I have money in the bank. Oh my goodness, I got excited. I still get excited because that's a continuing process in my life now. So let's take that to heart and let's just be aware of that. Living free from regret, being generous, living in the moment, be here now, and join me as we pray. What I know right here and right now is I know that God is present. I know this power, this energy, this truth, this light, this ever-present being is here now in this room, in my heart, in my mind, in the hearts and minds of each of us, outside of this room, across the country, around the world. God is. What a beautiful reminder it is for each of us to know that this presence is with us, inspiring us, guiding us, returning our good to us, always, here, now. And because we know this, we know that we are never alone. We know that we are always accompanied by this power and this presence. And we know that this power is ours to use. And we can take this power and we can turn it towards our financial well-being, our health, our relationships, whatever it is we choose to grow and to improve upon, we can choose to have this power support us in that process. What an incredible knowing this is, to know this. And so right here and right now, I give great thanks. I send blessings out to all people everywhere. And today, I know that our political leaders, whether we approve of them, agree with them or not, they are all blessed and they are also protected by God. And that the leaders of the countries are also guided and protected by Spirit. And that we hold all of these people sacred, knowing that we all get to live this experience on planet Earth free from conflict and free from pain and free from attack, if you will. And so as we just breathe that in, we know that is good and very, very good, and we give thanks for all that we have, and we give thanks for the very privilege to stand here or sit here now and hold Spirit in this place of prayer, knowing that we are connected, we are united, we are unified, we are one. I call it good, I call it perfect, and by God, I know it is already done in the mind of God. And we simply let this go, we let it be, as together we say, and so it is.
I've heard it said that we're small and alone on our path, but my mind is set on a life greater than that, and my heart is open wide. My heart will be open wide. All that's good that flows from above and below, I am that, I am that. All the joy and love that a life can hold, I am that, I am that. All that's good, all that's good. Some say the answers I seek are found on my knees, but I listen inside to the whisper, I'm all that I need. And my heart is open wide. My heart will be open wide. All that's good that flows from above and below, I am that, I am that. All the joy and love that a life can hold, I am that, I am that.
Hello. I'm Reverend Jen Wild, Senior Minister for New Dawn Center for Spiritual Living. New Dawn Center is a global community, and we welcome all people, all paths, all ways of thinking, all philosophies. So know that you are welcome here, and thank you for joining our online community.